if we can. And as it went through Russellville, you can see quite a bright presentation there, reds and greens wise, as it moved out east of town. That was concerning, and now as we've gone, it continues to have that broad rotation, but it's not quite what it was. I still think out to the west of Greenbrier, right there is something we're going to have to watch, and I'll zoom in on that for you. But that looks like an area that still is rotating. Yeah, and a little hook right in there. This community of Greenbrier, or Springfield, west of Greenbrier. You need to have your precautions taken. Greenbrier, I want you to keep a close watch on this. And very soon, as the storm gets closer, I want you to go ahead and just get into that safe spot. You're very close to that happening right now. May not be a tornado there, and we so hope that there is not. But let's be prepared for the possibility that this storm, Greenbrier and on up to the north, could have a tornado along with it. We continue to watch other storms. Those are the only two games in town right now. We're going to watch the other storm that's northwest of Morrilton, has a little tail on it right there. I don't see a lot in the way of rotation with it, but it bears watching. But the two most pronounced storms are the one down to the southwest of Ola and Berta, and headed off to the east. 2 tornado warnings. We're going to stay on the air with them as long as is necessary, because that takes precedence over everything else we do at Channel 7, and meteorologist James Bryant and I are here until that threat ends. And over the next few days, there are more threats, James.
Yeah, there are more threats over the next few days. We are going to have maybe a risk for severe weather on Wednesday, depending on if a morning round of storms gets out of here in time. Then it looks like Thursday as well, maybe Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. It's going to be a busy time here. Zoom out. If you're just now joining us, if you're getting reports of a tornado warning in your area, we're going to walk you through it. We have tornado warning in effect for a storm coming out of Conway County into Faulkner County, and then we have another tornado warning for a storm coming out of Yell County into Perry County. The rotation on this storm in Yell County has been weak, but we still think that a tornado could be produced from that at any time. It will eventually approach Perryville. The storm that is approaching US 65 will pass somewhere between Greenbrier and at Damascus. It has had rotation that at times has been very impressive, and that's the storm I'm going to focus on for the moment, because it is approaching an area where a lot of our friends live just to the north of Greenbrier. The rotation is still pretty broad, as it has been for most of its life cycle, but you don't have a tornado until you do. And I think at any point this could wrap up and produce a tornado. Right now, we'll go street by street. The areas that it is approaching, hopefully continuing to not produce a tornado, but we have Mallet Town Road, Marlar Road, Slady Gap Road, and then there's Arkansas 285. This area right here, kind of where you see the colors differentiate, that is kind of the area that we're watching for rotation. We watch a large area for rotation. That's the entire base of the storm spinning. Within that, you would have a much smaller tornado within this area of rotation, essentially right here near Marlar Road. This is approaching Arkansas 285, and it will do so likely within the next 10 minutes. It's still moving east at 35 miles per hour, and it is probably going to push east into the northern section of Faulkner County and then completely through Faulkner County here eventually. So we'll put a... it looks like it's hitting the Rosebud in just about an hour, so it's going to cross over all of Faulkner County probably in less than an hour, just to kind of give you an idea of the speed of this storm. Barry, the rotation on this, it continues to increase just from a speed perspective. I think we're seeing very strong inflow winds, fairly strong outflow winds, and where the two come together, that's the area of rotation. If this strengthens any further, or we begin to see the two areas really lock up together, that's when we get concerned about a tornado. And the thing is, it may not be producing a tornado at this moment, but as we go through the next 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe even less than that, I think it could. And I think that will be the case as it approaches Greenbrier. So if you're in Greenbrier and you're starting to get nervous about the possibility of a tornado, go ahead and head to your tornado safe place. That's the interior room, interior bathroom, interior closet. It's going to be fine, but we've just got the possibility that this could drop a tornado somewhere between Greenbrier, Guy, and Damascus, right along US 65 here as this storm approaches. It's a very dangerous storm. We're just getting past 9 o'clock now, And the presentation of the storm still is very impressive. It's what, if you asked me to draw a classic supercell, that's what you draw right there. We're now almost right to the Faulkner and Conway County line. This is going to pass just south of Twin Groves before it approaches US 65 there. And it may go just to the north of Greenbrier. And can't forget areas just to the west or northwest of Greenbrier. Make sure you are in a safe place right now. There's still time, but make sure you're there. And it looks like this may this is a track that a lot of our storms in this area of the state take. It's going to move east-northeast through northern Faulkner County, and it's going to kind of follow Highway 25 up towards Cleburne County. I think that is what's going to happen. That is what has historically happened with storms in this region. I'm going to put this in motion because I think it'll help us piece together exactly what is happening here. And over the course of the last couple of scans, we have noticed an increase in rotation, an increase in velocity, Barry, and maybe even a turn towards the southeast, if I'm looking at that correctly. And, Barry, if that happens, that's real bad news because that would be the right turn of this storm, and that means we're going to get a tornado here very soon. Yeah. And I think that's what is happening right now. We got a big increase in velocities now over Springfield Road and West Republican Road, and this is happening right. If it's taking a southeastwardly turn, that's going to head right into Greenbrier. Absolutely. Greenbrier, you've got to be in a safe spot right now. I don't like the looks of the last few scans at all. This is kind of the time frame. It's right on you pretty much right now, within a minute or so, and then stretching on out across into even the western part of White County. But let's go back to StormScan if we can. And I want to show you that this has really begun to, the winds outbound and inbound are just a lot stronger than they were. And here's Greenbrier right here. This is on top of you right now. With processing time, even on live radar, it's already on top of you, Greenbrier. You've got to be in that safe spot. And if there's not a tornado, great. If there is, get in that safe spot, the lowest part of your house, the most interior part of your house. This is moving at a rapid pace. You're not going to be inconvenienced for very long, and it can very well save your life if indeed this is producing a tornado. So let's take that precaution right now. Rotation-wise, the one product that we have right there, that's the highest rotation that's coming in. As far as debris, east, if it has a tornado with it. That's called a right moving storm. So you have a storm moving and then it starts to move a little bit right of that. That's a sign that it's rotating, and very often a sign that a tornado is being produced. And so let's just go back. I just want to take the last few frames and see if we can detect that at all. Yeah, you can see the rotation wasn't as strong. Yeah, I think that last few frames, it's moved right a little bit. So Greenbrier, this is right on top of you right now. I will tell you that if there's a tornado, that would be where it is. Some small spot within this area of rotation would be where there is a tornado, and that's why the tornado warning for that area. The other storm that we're watching is still out to the west, south of Ola, and still some indication of rotation with that. It's a little bit weirder looking storm on the velocity product, but it certainly looks like a supercell there. So Casa, Ola, and just to the south, keep a close watch on that storm. Our only other storm is heading in to the Greenbrier area right now. James, there should be a new scan coming in momentarily. It takes a little time for processing, but I know the National Weather Service is analyzing that storm more frequently than all the way around on its radar scan. And so they're interrogating that storm and the other one more often. But I think it's a possibility there's a tornado with that storm. I think the pieces are there for what we call tornado genesis, the formation of a tornado, and that's going to happen. It looks like the pieces are falling into place for that to happen right as we get into Greenbrier with this storm. Still looks slightly broad. Maybe it's just not quite as tight as it would be if you had a tornado. Maybe starting a little bit to wrap in rain here along Arkansas 285. There's West Republican Road that connects 285 to US 65. So far, all of this is occurring off towards the northwest of Greenbrier. But as we look at what's happening just above the ground level, we're still looking at very strong winds being pulled into the storm. You've got strong winds coming out of the storm, the downdraft, and then there's your area of rotation. And I think it's just continued to hold steady for the last 45 minutes to an hour. And so I know we have had some pretty big things programming-wise on Channel 7 tonight. If you were missing that, we apologize. We will be airing that at a later date. As we put this in motion, it was more of an east-northeastwardly track, and now it's more of an east-southeastwardly track that's taking it right into Greenbrier. Hopefully, this stays above the ground. But again, it may not. We may have a tornado form here very soon. I think right now on its current track, this is going to take it more towards the south of Guy. But remember, these do not move in straight lines always. That's what we've been telling you. And I think we've taken more of an eastwardly or southeastwardly jog here the last couple of minutes. So we're getting very close to US 65, Greenbrier, in the path of this storm. And Greenbrier, hopefully you've had plenty of time now to get in your tornado safe spot. I've had a couple of chasers in the area of the earlier storms. They had reported wall clouds near Hector, wall clouds in Russellville, and again, we still do not have any reports of damage. So that is some good news that I can bring you. I'll hit the storm that's approaching Perry County very quickly. This storm not near as strong, and just based off the colors of the velocity data, that's very weak rotation now on the Perry-Yell County line along Highway 7, and I doubt that this tornado warning will be continued given how weak that area of rotation looks. It was stronger back towards the west. It is much weaker now. We still have to track this storm, which doesn't look quite as strong. In fact, may be in the stages of weakening as it approaches the western section of Yell County. This would eventually take it into Perryville. Last 10 minutes, you can see as I put it in motion, it looks a lot less impressive here over the last 15 to 20 minutes. So that's good news for Perry County. The storm that continues to take all the attention and has looked the best is the storm that's in northern Faulkner County. And it is... Well, let's look at the new velocity scan. It continues to look like it is trying very hard. This storm is trying very hard to produce a tornado. Still have a wide area of rotation. Remember, when we talk about a big area of rotation like this, that's not the whole tornado. This is just the base of the storm that's rotating. You'll have a much smaller tornado at the base of the wall cloud at the bottom of the storm. And that is where your strongest winds will occur. Barry, I'm thankful so far that I'm looking at numerous pieces of data.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything that's a debris dropout. And we have numerous people and friends that are watching from Greenbrier. A police officer that I was texting stuck his head out the window, could not see anything.
Yeah.
And they're in Greenbrier, and they're in their safe spot. So just remain in your safe spot for a bit here. I do think the strongest area of rotation is right along West Republican Road and maybe just towards the south. And this is going to go into Greenbrier here within the next 5 minutes. This is going to go right over Greenbrier. And we're getting new data every few minutes. Barry, I think there's very strong forward flank winds, very strong rear flank winds. The question is, does it all come together to produce a tornado? I think so far that has not happened. I really hope it doesn't happen right as it's entering Greenbrier here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a 100% chance at all. And I think that you still need to be in your safe spot in Greenbrier there. I don't think the structure of the storm is quite what it was. But I'm going to tell you that it doesn't take long to get into that lowest floor of your house, away from exterior walls and windows. You're not going to see this thing. It's raining. But there is a lot of wind on both sides. And as James said, is it making it to the ground? Is that condensation funnel coming all the way down to the ground? And we hope that that is not the case. I know people in Greenbrier, you're praying that it's not the case tonight as this moves on through. And hopefully this storm then starts to lose its rotating characteristics as well. Just the whole storm looks less impressive, but it's certainly a possibility that this is producing a tornado. I just want to give you some perspective here on the size of this tornado warning. It's really, really large. Now, the National Weather Service is taking the whole storm into account, but through Doppler radar, we can tell you that the whole storm is not rotating. It's that part of the storm that has that general rotation over several miles. And you think about it, over several miles, if something is rotating around, but it gets a little stronger, then it can rotate not over 3 miles, but over a few hundred yards and form a tornado. And that's how tornadoes form, the rotation of the parent storm and then coming on down to the ground. And that would be where it is happening, if it is happening, and we hope that it is not. Greenbrier, stay in your safe space and on out on the east side of town, north of Holland, north of Valonia, and on out then into Faulkner County. It'll just be continuing to move on out to the south. If you're up in Cleburne County and in Van Buren County, you're not really in the rotating part of the storm. You're in a tornado warning. I know sirens are probably going off in a number of spots, but this storm is not rotating up at the north edge of it. And the one out to the west, I think all warnings have been dropped on that, if I'm not mistaken. So that's great news. Casa, Perryville, that's a thunderstorm. Brilliant lightning. I just got on the X platform, someone sent me a picture of just constant lightning. And so the sky was fairly lit off to the west, and I believe this was in Greenbrier or vicinity of Greenbrier. And I didn't see any funnel, no tornado making it down to the ground. Of course, it's nighttime, but the lightning is brilliant. Just time after time after time, lightning bolts that are hitting the ground there. But this is what we're watching. Could be trees pushed over, even if there's not a tornado along with it. And so that's why you want to get away from the exterior walls and windows of your house. Hopefully this will start to broaden out the rotation, James, as we head through the next few minutes.
So the National Weather Service is that continues. We are going to have to watch a couple of the storms that are going up to the west of Greenbrier and to the west of Morrilton. Sometimes the storm on the southern flank can really get going and take away from the storm on the northern flank, and this storm diminishes, kind of like we saw earlier with the storm that was moving north of Hector. This is the southern storm that came out of the Russellville-Atkins area. Looks like the tornado warning has been canceled, Barry. I think they were seeing what you were seeing there, the last several scans, just not seeing anything other than broad rotation. So what we are definitely seeing is there's lots of wind on the forward and rear flanks of this storm, but right now they think that is all that is. So we're still going to watch this, but for Greenbrier, this is good news. We are not seeing an immediate tornado threat, at least for the moment. And so they have canceled the tornado warning up there in northern Faulkner County. I'm going to go back in and diagnose the immediate storm, at least just for the moment. They're going to continue to closely watch this storm as it moves off towards the east. Is eventually going to go into, I think at its current trajectory, it's going to get into northwestern White County. But Barry, that is some good news that we're seeing here. There's a weakening of the rotation right as it's coming into Greenbrier. Still a significant storm, definitely still some hail that's in there. But perhaps getting some storm interaction there on the west side weakened this storm, at least for the moment.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think I think we'll give it a scan or two here as we continue to watch it. Definitely some wind trying to rotate in there, but it's a much broader area. I just looked at power outages right now in the state, and in Conway County, 127 customers